Well, today is October the 15th, and this is part 53 of our study of the ministry of Jesus. Well, yesterday we began to study about the time that Jesus met a man that was born blind. And we talked about that yesterday. He was born blind so that the works of God might be manifest in him. So I want to continue on today. Jesus and his disciples came and saw this blind man, and the disciples questioned why he was blind. But anyway, Jesus spit on the ground, made mud, and smeared it on the man's eyes. And then he told him, go wash in the pool of Siloam. And the man did. He's blind. I assume he knew his way around and knew how to get there. And he went there and washed the mud off. And when he did, he looked up and he could see. Well, of course, he was ecstatic. And the people around him, some said, wow, this man used to be blind. He can see now. Others said, no, it's not him. It just looks like him. And so there was a discussion. And so they asked him, well, how'd you get to see? And he said, this man came along and made mud and put on my eyes and told me to wash, and I did. And I looked up and I could see. So they took him then to the Pharisees because of this miraculous thing that happened. And so they asked him what happened, and he told them the same thing. This man came along, and they call him Jesus, and he made mud and put on my eyes and told me to go wash, and I did, and I can see. Well, they didn't believe the man had been born blind, so they called his parents, and his parents came, and they said, well, this is our son. And we know he was born blind, but how he can see now, we don't have any idea. And they were afraid of them because it was already said that if anyone had confessed that Jesus is the Christ, he would be thrown out of the synagogue. And by the way, in Jesus' day, there were many synagogues in Jerusalem. But they said, if anyone confesses Jesus to be the Messiah, the Christ, then he can't stay here. He's got to be thrown out of the synagogue. And so they were afraid. So they said, he's of age, ask him. So they turned to this man again and said, tell us what happened. And he said, the man made mud, put on my eyes, I washed, and I can see now. And they said, we know that this man's a sinner because he did this on the Sabbath day. Now then, Jesus did not break the law of the Sabbath. He broke their tradition of the law of the Sabbath. They'd added a whole bunch of rules and regulations that God never intended. It was not against the Sabbath to do good on the Sabbath day. But they said this man can't be of God. He's a sinner. He did this on the Sabbath day. Overlooked this marvelous miracle. It's beyond my imagination. And said he's a sinner because he did it on a Sabbath day. Well, this man said, whether he's a sinner or not, I don't know. But I know one thing I couldn't see before and I can see now. And they said, well, tell us again what happened. And he said, I told you once. So you want me to tell you again? Or do you want to be his disciple? And that made them mad and said, we're Moses' disciple. And so they threw him out of the synagogue. So now Jesus finds him and says to him, do you believe on the Son of God? And he said, I don't have any idea who he is. And Jesus said, the one you're talking to, that's the Son of God. He's the Messiah. And the man then fell down and worshiped him. He recognized him as being the Son of God and as being the Messiah. Well, what can we learn from this today? Well, one thing we need to learn is this. That is that we don't need to add a bunch of rules and regulations to what the Bible says, and we tend to do that sometime. Just let the Bible speak for the Bible, and let's not add a bunch extra to it. Then we need to do what this man did, and when God does something great in our life, we need to worship him. Well, we need to worship him anyway, because he's God. What a marvelous thing this was for this man, born blind, to see, and now he is a saved man, a follower of Jesus. Well, that's it for the man that was born blind, and we'll continue on with Jesus' ministry in the morning. So until then, have a fantastic day. God bless you today.